you for watching. I'm Razimus, and in this episode I'm going to be reviewing Shooter Jennings' new album, Countach. And I have 4 copies of this album. It's a very cool looking album. I have yet to open it yet, because I did already hear the whole thing at the official Shooter Jennings album release party inside of a video game called Shroud of the Avatar. So I will definitely be opening this and playing it for the first time right now. Shooter Jennings' new album, Countach. Very cool album cover. It features Falkor from the Neverending Story. It has a big black panther with some pink sunglasses. It's dedicated to Giorgio, a famous industry music producer who produced David Bowie albums. This album features Marilyn Manson on the Cat People song, so I assume this big cat represents that song. It features Brandi Carlile from the Neverending Story song, which is a cover, I suppose, and Falkor represents that song. It features Richard Garriott, famous video game designer of the Ultima series, and I suppose this computer with the smiley face represents that song. Very cool album cover, very cool artwork. I ordered 4 copies of this. Why? Because I'm a huge vinyl collector, and it's limited edition pink vinyl. Possibly the only version of this vinyl record will be pink, and I don't know what it's limited to. It could be 1,000, 2,000, I'm not sure, but I don't think it's going to be that many. Even 5,000 isn't very many in the grand scheme of vinyl releases. So I really wanted to get it because of the combination, the odd combination, which I felt was a form of chaos magic. Now, chaos magic is grabbing 2 opposing things that naturally don't go together to create an effect, whether that effect is shock value or magic. If you take disco and you take hip-hop and you put them together, it could have an amazingly great result. It could have an amazingly horrible result. Luckily, that's not the case on this album. This album features electric music, but mostly country music seems to be a main thread, as Shooter Jennings is a country musician. Marilyn Manson is more hard rock, alternative, you might say metal to a certain extent. The Neverending Story theme song, that seems to not go with country or with rock, but it seems to fit nicely. I've already heard it in-game in Shroud of the Avatar, and I will be showing video that I recorded of the in-game Shroud of the Avatar party with Richard Garriott, Shooter Jennings, and many Shroud of the Avatar citizens of Novia. It was a fun event. I'm going to show you some clips from the party. So let's take a look at the party. I can't play the music. It's still an interesting thing to check out. Now, I was at the in-game release party and I did listen to most of the album, but I was a little bit late to that party, so I believe I might have missed about 3 songs. So the first 3 songs I'm going to be hearing for the first time right now. I'm already a big fan of the songs I did hear, but it will be interesting to hear the songs that I have not yet listened to. And I am a fan of the Neverending Story, and it's one of the reasons I automatically knew I would like it. But just to prove that I'm a fan of the Neverending Story, I have it on my shelf right here. Let me see if I can find it. It's around here somewhere. Let's take a look. Here it is. Here it is. I do have this double feature DVD of the Neverending Story 1 and 2. The first one obviously is much better than the second one because they switched it up and changed the characters, but even part 2 is interesting. Falkor, the Dog-faced dragon, dog dragon guy thingy. Awesome character. So let's open this on up. Let's open it for the first time ever. I've never seen it opened. I saved the opening for this very event. So I'm gonna need these tweezers to carefully open it. I always keep the shrink wrap on the vinyl, which I believe does help protect. Okay. So I can already tell you from the cover alone, I give it a 10. The cover is a 10 out of 10. It's beautiful, amazing artwork. I don't know who did this artwork, but they did a great job. So let's open it on up. All right. So there doesn't appear to be any inserts. All right. Whoa. It is translucent pink. Very cool looking. I didn't know it was translucent. I thought it was going to be opaque, but nope, translucent. Very cool. Impressed. I like it very much. The grain. You know, people tell me, "Oh, don't touch anything other than the sides." Well, I don't claim to be an expert at collecting vinyls, but I just do so for the fun of it. Suppose it could be 140, but you know, maybe it is 140. I don't know if 150 exists. It feels a little bit lighter than 180, a little bit lighter, but it feels heavier than 140. So I'm going to give it a spin and listen to it in this vinyl format for the first time. So I just listened to the entire album, Countach by Shooter Jennings. Very cool album, very awesome. Loading, Countach, very cool intro. Has kind of an 80s and even a modern electronic feel to it. Chase, featuring Richard Garriott, is a very cool song. It's hard to put my finger on it, but reminds me of a hit 80s song. It features Richard Garriott with spoken word talking about technology. He's, of course, the creator of Shroud of the Avatar and the Ultima series, and this album debuted. The grand opening premiere party for the first playing of it at a party setting was inside of a video game, which is groundbreaking in and of itself. When I use the term chaos magic, I'm using it in a positive way. There's such thing as chaos magic in the positive sense, and there's such thing as chaos magic in the negative sense. Negative sense would be blaspheming something on purpose for shock value or for some other magical reaction. But chaos magic in this sense is not blaspheming. Obviously, it's infusing many different musical genres together. Country, rock and roll, some 80s inspirations of 80s pop, electronic, modern electronic, and 80s electronic. The cover of David Bowie's song Cat People featuring Marilyn Manson. Very cool cover of Cat People. It's a cover of the slower version of Cat People as opposed to the later poppy version that Bowie put on the Let's Dance album. It's closer to the soundtrack to the movie Cat People, and it's very cool. It was perhaps the very last David Bowie cover ever done before his death, professionally anyway, that I know of. This album was obviously recorded before David Bowie's death, and I thought it's interesting. It's in dedication of Giorgio, a famous music producer that worked with David Bowie. It has a David Bowie cover, Cat People. And Marilyn Manson did mention how he's a big fan. David Bowie was a huge influence on him, and I'm sure David Bowie was an influence on Shooter Jennings as well. The Never-Ending Story. Shooter's guitar and musical instruments, perhaps a fiddle, very cool and woven and perfectly matches it. And it's a wonderful take on the song. This album makes me want to just pop on some pink plastic shades and wear my most 80s shirt that I own. Nah, just kidding. It's very subtly 80s inspired. Very subtle. It's not over the top. It's a very amazing album. I highly recommend it. I don't give ratings on the songs. I simply give ratings on the overall aesthetic and actual physical contents. And I gave a 10 on that based on the awesome album cover alone. And then I give an occult analysis, and I would say this album doesn't really have much occult themes or references anywhere, other than very subtle chaos magic, which is totally harmless, and other than a David Bowie cover before David Bowie died, immediately before. And so, not really much occult anything in this album, but that's my take on Countach by Shooter Jennings. This is the first Shooter Jennings album I've ever purchased, and so he's really broadening his range from just country to gaining an audience of people that don't even collect country music. I mean, I'm a fan of Willie Nelson, and I'm a fan of David Liebehart doing some country songs, but I thoroughly enjoyed even the country songs on this album. It's easy to appreciate the hard work that went into this album, so I can definitely say this album is worthy of being spun on my transcriptor's hydraulic reference. I like the fact that it's clear so you can see the weights through it. Very cool album. I give the color and I give it a maybe an 8 or a 9 out of 10 because it's not as heavy as I would like, but it's still a very cool color and it's very interesting. And I highly recommend you pick up a copy before they're sold out. Shooter Jennings is going on tour. I recommend you stop by and take a listen to his phenomenal album. I thank you for watching. This has been John Razimus with the John Razimus channel. Be seeing you.